What's up, and welcome to the Los Wise Guys podcast. I'm your host, Eslam, aka Rock God of the Sun, accompanied by Dan Papa Sun Killer and Dan Emperor Disco. How's it going, fellas?
What's
What's
up?
going
What's
on?
up? It's going
What's
great.
going on? Congrats to Jack. He got the Super Bowl. He starts on Monday.
Oh yeah, I knew he
He
could
was-
do it. I always believed in you ever since
Yep.
the moment I met you on the chat.
He's the one that kicks ass in the fighting games, right?
That's Khalil.
Oh, never mind.
Jack is the one that he got to go to Mexico because he sold like in the top 1% of the company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh damn, that's top tier.
Good shit, bro. Good shit.
exactly. He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff
Nice.
for sure.
You deserve that role.
Should go
100%.
sell Teslas, make bank.
No.
I do that when you can sell Spectrum.
All right, guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Los Wise Guys podcast. And today we will be reviewing one of the best shows I've seen in a while, honestly, in my opinion. And that is FX and Hulu's Shogun. Now, this show, if you're not into a lot of dialogue and politics and strategy and stuff, it could not be for you. But honestly, it was so well written. It was so entertaining. Every minute of it was just exciting that I think if you're a fan of good storytelling, good pacing, just good everything that a show can do, Shogun is your show. You know what I mean? So
No.
definitely highly recommend it. Go check it out. You know what? Pause the podcast. Go watch all 10 hours of it, and then come back and watch this in a row. No breaks.
Honestly,
Binge.
yeah,
No
spoils himself,
bathroom
most likely.
breaks.
It's
Yeah.
so good that I wish that's how I could have watched it.
I liked
Um,
waiting the week to week, believe it or not. I enjoyed
Me
that.
too. Me too. I'm starting to enjoy that now.
Yeah,
a
I'm
little
not
more.
a binger. I'm not a binger.
Also we just don't have a lot of time right now, so it's like it's nice. We sit down, we have dinner, we put on the show, we enjoy
Yeah.
it, we enjoy an episode, and then it's done, and then we just get about our business because
Yeah.
we're adults and we got shit to do.
And you let
So-
it sit with you. You know, it's
Yeah,
one of those things
yeah.
you just you sit with it. Okay.
It's one of
I'll
those
sit
shows
back
where
in.
you needed to let it sit with
Yep.
you. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. There's like so
Yeah.
much going on, like you need to think about it.
One thing I
but-
want to say real quick, you're oh my god, my mic, I'm trying to fix it while talk. What's it called? You're talking about if you're the type of person that doesn't like dialogue and all that stuff. I just want to point something out. That is 100% my dad you described, who doesn't want any dialogue. He doesn't
Yeah.
want no storytelling. When my family came by to visit me here in South Carolina, he was just like, hey, so blah blah, we're talking about stuff. I was like, oh yeah, here's this new show. There's this new show I'm watching called Shogun. He's like, it's so good, right? I was like, you're watching Shogun? Yeah. He's like, oh, it's great. He was ahead of me. I was behind
Yeah.
like an episode.
Oh,
I was just like,
shit.
oh man. I was like,
Yeah.
and that's my dad is not into stuff like that, and
Yeah.
he thought it was a good show. So it's like,
Yeah.
even if you're not into that, give it a shot. You might
Even more
be down
proof.
for it.
What more
Yeah.
proof do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
Go watch Shogun.
The actors did so well too. They had such great synergy to bring that
Yeah.
script alive. At the end, I really didn't want it to end. I was like, no, I
No,
could
for
go
real.
for like 5 more episodes.
For real.
But yeah, it's a total
I also love the way
knockout.
it ended. Like,
Great.
I wasn't expecting that, but I totally could like respect it. And also, I guess I was expecting like a
Yeah.
whole big thing,
Yeah.
and
bad,
it,
yeah.
it wasn't necessarily, but it wasn't necessarily bad either. Like,
Yeah. It's
No,
like they
showed
showed
me
you
what I
what
was
they needed
expecting.
to. They're like, we don't even need to get to that. We're
Yeah.
gonna show you what you need to know, and we're
Yeah.
gonna call it a day. I was like, damn, I respect
And
the hell
leave
out
it
of
up to your imagination.
that. Yeah, for real.
yeah,
All right,
everything was so good, you can't even be mad at that. Like,
Yeah.
that was a solid 10. Like, you can't
Yeah,
ask
for
for
real.
more.
all right. So let me start it off by like a non-spoiler kind of reaction of mine. Obviously, I got onto the show late because my wife and I were watching other stuff, but you guys obviously were like, you have to watch Shogun. It's fantastic.
We
You're
need to
gonna
do
love
an
it."
episode on this.
And when I get the go ahead from you two, I'm just like, it's a done deal.
Mhm.
Like, I know I'm gonna like it. You guys know what I like. We all know each other's tastes a little bit. So
Yeah.
once I got the seal from you guys, like the like the seal of approval. I was like, I'm good to go. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna enjoy it. Nadia loved it as well. So yeah, it was such a fantastic ride. Just also, I love samurai culture.
Who doesn't?
It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Um, what I loved a lot about this one is they showed you less of the fighting and more of like the day-to-day culture, how they treat each other, the pleasantries, the fake pleasantries, like like they showed you all the silent things that happen that's not being said, but
Yeah.
being said at
Yeah.
the same time.
Down to the way people move.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
exactly.
there's a
So it was
lot.
just
Yeah.
like it was so
the
fantastic.
culture and formalities are so rich, and
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
it's also amazing how he used that to his advantage. That
yeah.
Toranaga's cunning was just through the roof. I really enjoyed
It
that
was
character.
amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, man, it was just like it was a really nice deep dive into that world and culture, and like I said, I enjoyed every minute of it. And oh man, it was what can I say? It was just a lot of fun to watch, and I've always been a fan of the samurai Japanese culture. You guys know I'm a big fan of anime, manga, ninjas, everything Japan. So it was
Mhm.
fantastic.
I liked also. I also like the clash of like having Blackthorne, the like
Yeah,
barbarian, having him mesh into the Japanese culture, and then by the end of the season you actually see him like speaking Japanese, and then he doesn't even need translator at certain points, and he's still kind of like, maybe not fully there, but he totally can understand, like. And I love seeing his transition throughout the whole season. And uh man, the like you guys said, the writing was phenomenal. This was an excellent show. Really,
yeah,
they really did their thing with this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like one of the things I want to mention, like Disco, you said with Shogun. I mean, with Blackthorn, you actually just got me thinking. Once again, bringing up my dad. Like the three of us and many people, we're fans of just Japanese culture and period. Now I'm not saying we're experts by any stretch of the imagination, obviously, but we know maybe more than somebody who doesn't really care. Albeit my dad. Now, I think somebody like Blackthorn is perfect for my dad because you have somebody who
mhm,
doesn't know anything about that and you're
yeah,
learning through Blackthorn the same way he's learning. So that's why even if it's somebody who's just like, I don't know, because I really thought my dad, there's no way he's gonna watch something like this. Like I'm not saying he has anything against that culture. It's just something he doesn't know. He doesn't like trying new
yeah,
things. It's just he is what he is. But it's one of those things where it's like I didn't even think about it till literally Disco. You brought it up just now. It's just like it makes perfect sense where you have a character like Blackthorn who doesn't understand this culture. My dad watching the show doesn't understand his culture, but he can learn through the eyes of Blackthorn, and by the end of it, appreciate, understand not completely, but what a shogunate is and what's going on and these different regions. Like it's great. I mean, just overall phenomenal show. And also, when was the last time all three of us liked
yeah. It's
something?
been a while.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's been
always
a minute.
one of us, at least one of us, that's just like, nah.
Yeah, yeah. Usually me. But I'm
I
happy
have a
that all three of us
question.
like
Did
this.
your dad watch it subbed or dubbed?
Wait, there was a dubbed
I
option?
didn't ask because I don't want to know. Exactly. I didn't even want him to know that there was a dubbed option, so I
Damn,
never brought it up.
I did
But there
not
is a
know
dubbed
that.
option. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing subbed. And it's funny because it's like I honestly I'm not one of those people that cares one way or the other. It's like, do what you want to do. But yeah, my dad, I was just like, you know what? Let him read.
Yeah.
He could use it.
Let him read. I hope he's watching the sub.
I wanna get into it now and touch a little bit on Blackthorn again. And Disco brought up a really cool point of him being so different and like clashing with the Japanese culture. And it sparked this like realization in my head that they were both calling each other savages, which I think was really hilarious now that I think about it.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
calling them savages because of the way they just, like will kill themselves and kill each other and the punishment is so severe for what seems like little things, like when he had that pheasant up and he said no one touch it or they die, and it was so stinky someone had to take one for the team, and then yeah,
And
and then he
died.
was so like hurt and distraught by it, how like And like even his concert was like your words carry like weight, so like you have to be careful with what you say. And that's almost like a theme of the whole show, where everyone's careful of what they say because what you say can get you killed at any moment. So it was like, and then on the other side, they thought he was a savage one because he didn't bathe as much as them, which was I was like, that's just great. That was
That
funny.
scene was crazy. It's like, here, this is so you can bathe. It's like, I already bathed. It was like, but no, not since you've been here. It's like, I bathed like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. You're trying to get me sick.
Holy shit. And then,
Jesus, dude. That
bro,
boat must
oh
have
my
smelled
god,
bad.
Oh my
I
god.
could only imagine. But yeah, so they thought he was a savage in that in many ways because they have like a form of respect that they show where he's just out here cursing, like a sailor. And his conversations
Dude.
with the other sailor that he saved were fucking hilarious. Like the way they were cursing at each other was just phenomenal. um but yeah, I thought that was a really interesting point by Disco, and like just having that realization of that contrast is again fantastic writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. 100%. Like, I hated him in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. I could not stand him in the first episode too, because literally he would like when he was talking to like his crew or whatever, it is what it is. And if I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the first episode, but it's just like the first time he's encountering somebody from Japan or whatever, he
Yeah.
just starts talking shit. Like they didn't even do anything
No.
to provoke it yet. Like he just went out there. It's like, I'm gonna insult you. I'm gonna insult you, Lane. I'm cursing everybody out. Like, bro, chill. Like, calm down. Like when they're treating a crowd, it's like you
Yeah.
kind of deserve it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, why are you
I
such
know
a
that.
jerk?
The first time I saw
But
him, I couldn't
yeah,
help
man.
but think, I was like, yo, is this Tom Hardy? The guy from Venom? I was like, is this his cousin or something? He looks just like Tom Hardy to me for some reason.
Oh man.
But just even him meeting the
Oh man.
characters and then like his relationship with Mariko and everything, just following his kind of tale from his eyes, it was just so good. The ride was amazing.
Yeah. Great show. Great show.
Honestly, I had something that I wanted to bring up, but then my Alzheimer's, bro, forgot in 2.5 seconds flat.
Yeah.
Faster
You're on a podcast. What a
faster
podcast
than a
is
Tesla.
normally it's an audio.
But yeah. Anybody?
I guess another thing I want to say is the synergy between the actors again. I just really love Toranaga and then him even keeping Anjin as like almost like a pet and having
Yeah.
him teach him stuff and then his just mastermind, like he planned everything, like and that it just I really was blown away. And it was really he was a really fun character because he like they built him up all this all these stories and lore, and then you kind of like hear in one of the episodes like how it is some of it is lore and like how they spoke him up, how like he was the best general, this and that. He killed the guy with the one slash, and it wasn't
Yeah.
exactly like that. So it was really cool, like the depth that they put into these characters, and honestly, I guess I'm going into spoilers now. I don't know. Is that cool? Or?
Yeah, we have already been past that. Yeah.
Okay. As honestly, I think one of my favorite characters was Mariko. I was really falling in love with her too. I was just like, she is just so badass, and then her kind of like navigating the engine, and kind of like having to control him and translate everything, and always being like the middle woman for this barbarian, and then how their romance kind of blossomed, and that she was in
Yeah.
like this kind of like a dead marriage. And just like I felt like all the characters were so rich. Their backgrounds were just had so much to pick through. Like between her father, getting killed, and then even her husband not dying in that one scene.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he made it. I was like really cool.
She was so upset he made it, bro.
He's like, what the hell? First day back causing trouble too. Just like, damn.
Not for
But-
that man, like he was just permanently upset.
Yeah.
On top of that, that
I
man
think
never
that's
looked
just like
happy
a
ever in his
samurai
life.
thing.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just like
a lot of
happiness.
them were-
Nah.
Nah.
What's
What do you
called?
got?
One thing
Yeah.
I wanted to mention real quick before I forget is it got to the point I kind of want to check out the book now. Like
Yeah,
this was so good. It's just like, you know what? I might pick that up just because they changed a couple things. I was actually reading on it to see like what was different. So there was some stuff that they did change. I was like, I might have to pick this up because this is supposedly like a really old story that was written
yeah,
like a long ass time ago that they adapted into a book, and it's loosely based off of like fact and stuff like
yeah.
that. But yeah, man, it got to the point where it's like I'm not always like, oh, let me check out the book. Like, this got me to that point where it's like I might have to
Yeah.
pick that up. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
speaking of Mariko, I really loved one episode. It's like Eightfold Fence, I think it was
Mhm.
called.
Yep, yep, yep.
And I really loved that description. And she was like explaining like the Japanese culture, and he was like, "Why are you like keeping yourself like this?" And and she explains like the Eightfold Fence, how there's like it's all in your mind, like you kind of have to just like separate yourself from your situation and kind of enter like the safety of your mind and be able to I think you're muted, Disco. Oh, I thought you were talking to us, never mind. The Eightfold Fence, and like how you, yeah, like how you escape your present situation and you live in your conscious mind, and so you can lessen the hurt, which I thought was very, very interesting concept. And that makes sense because they all have to be so mentally strong to deal with all the I mean, you can say savagery, but like all like the brutality of some of the
Yeah.
stuff that gets done
No, I mean even the
that
political
time.
stuff, you have to
Yeah,
mentally be like just you're going through like
yeah,
political like gymnastics every day. So
yeah.
it's like you have to be mentally strong for that. So you need
You're like going
that
through political Olympics every day, bro.
yeah,
Like they
for
were on
real.
another level.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
The way Toranaga navigated them with their own policy, just like, oh, well, you need
Mm,
5 people to make a vote, or
yep.
it's pinching the Christians kind of against the non-Christians, and the
Yeah.
way he really like utilized everything he could, it was just so amazing.
Which is,
Man.
and like you guys said the whole time, dude's just a genius. Like he used all of it to his advantage. I mean, there's always like, anytime you look at any type of medium, whether it be a movie, show, game, book, whatever, any character that just does that, like just does that whole thing, like they always stand out. They're always like one of the favorites. Like a lot of comparisons the show has had is to Game of Thrones, and you can't help but like think of like people in that show. Who are some of the people that were like very big into like thinking outside of people? And you have well, I can't remember anybody's name, but the dwarf, what was his name? I'm sorry.
Lannister.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
Yeah.
Tyrion.
uh
Tyrion was one of those
Tyrion?
people where it's just like he would just think circles around people, and he's one of the favorites. Like just somebody who has that just mental capacity, just run around circles, be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead do this to just manipulate the fuck out of everybody, and it's like, oh, that's just so badass, and that's Toranaga all the way.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't hurt that they have like one of the best actors ever, Hiroyuki Sanada,
Yeah.
where it's just like, man, just put this man in everything, please.
Yo, he
He
was
also
so good.
Toranaga had that one line too towards the end that like blew me away. I was like,
Yes.
man, this show is so good. Where he was just like, I Project Prism Sky was to send a woman in to do what an army couldn't or something like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah,
was like, what?
Because
That
when
it
Yabashiro
made
asked him
so
about,
much sense.
yeah, so Yabashiro was asking him, "Are you still gonna do like Crimson Sky?" He's like, "No, Crimson Sky is done.
yeah,
I
it's
had
done
to
now.
send in a woman to do what an army couldn't." And yeah, that was just phenomenal, and it worked. Like he got the letter from Lady what is it? Uh Shiba, some Ochiba.
Ochiba, that's what it is.
Ochiba, yeah. Lady Ochiba, and that she's not gonna back up Ishida or Ishido.
Yeah,
And yeah, so he pretty much won with the strategy.
yeah.
And so speaking of like the mental chess of the politics, like I feel like I have heard a couple of shoguns that were like that level. Two of them that come to mind that I've heard many stories about is Tokugawa and Nobunaga, Oda Nobunaga. So
Mhm.
those are I've heard about a lot. There's a lot of stories about them. There's a lot of like myths and like I'm sure fictional stories about them, but they always portray how super smart and strategic and
Mhm.
like amazing generals they were, and I feel like we saw a little bit of some like those characteristics in Toranaga,
Yeah.
which I thought was like really great. And I love the conversation between him and the Taiko, where he's like, "I want to make you Soul Regent," and he was like, "Are you trying to kill me? Like all the other like lords are gonna be against me and kill me in your heir, blah blah blah." So he's like, say that, and like the 5 person, like the 5 regent council,
Mhm.
and they pretty much kind of had the same power. But that one of the interesting things at the end that I kind of like, I guess I didn't fully understand, they were kind of showing hints of the future, and they showed um the Anjin like old in like what seemed like England with grandchildren. He was holding like a cross, which I thought
Yeah.
was Mariko's cross.
It
But then
was.
later, huh?
It is. So that was all him. That didn't. That's not real.
Oh,
That
he was
he
just
imagined all
imagining
that.
it.
He was
Yeah.
imagining his future,
Okay.
and then once he drops the cross at the end, it signifies, oh, he's gonna stay in Japan. He never leaves.
Ah, okay. Because I was
Yeah.
just like, also Toranaga was like, I'm just gonna burn his ship again, and I don't think
Exactly.
he's ever gonna leave Japan. Like, I don't think
Exactly.
his fate is to leave Japan. So,
Yeah. He doesn't.
um, yeah, cool. Okay,
That
that
makes
explains
sense because
that.
that kind of confused me too. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Yeah.
"Ah."
So yeah, every
I
time
get
they
that.
showed that, it was him. He, if you notice, he was like in a dream state.
yeah, yeah,
And then it was always one of those things. So he just kept on thinking that's what happened. So at you as the viewer, you're watching. It was like, okay, so he's reminiscing this, but it's
yeah,
just like, how come they didn't bring that up in any other episode? That's weird. And then
yeah.
it's like, as you're doing it, it's just like, okay, what's going on? Then when he's about to drop the thing, and then you're thinking like, I can't remember her name now. The other lady that was
I
with them,
forget her name too.
Fuji.
Fuji. Thank you.
Oh,
Fuji was just like she grabs the hand. You think she's gonna be like, "Hey, stop!" And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead and drop it. Let your hands be the last one that held her." I was like,
yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
shit, okay." So I get it, and then that's where it came down from. Now I was a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. I did look this up. I was just like, "What's going on?" Then according to the book and everything, and the characters based on died in Japan. Like the dude
Okay,
never left Japan.
okay, okay.
And that's how that was their way of doing it. But one thing I did want to mention, you were talking about different characters, and you did mention it real quick, Aslam. Yabushige. I did not think I was gonna like him.
He was awesome, bro.
Dude, he was so good. Like
I
I at
loved,
the first, I really thought he was just gonna be a piece of shit. I was like, I don't like this guy. And then by the time we get to the end, I was like, man, just please don't kill him. Like,
dude. I loved
The
his
whole
little
time
like.
he was. You could go. You could go.
I just loved his little like grunts and
mhm.
like just
His mannerisms,
vocalizations.
yes,
Yeah, I was just like, this is like,
so
it's so
good.
funny. He's like, huh, and he's just
He
like,
might be my favorite character in the whole show. Like,
yeah,
I love Toranaga and everything. I love Mariko, but I was like, man, Yamashika is my guy. Like he was just so conniving.
yeah,
He was loyal to no one but himself, and I
yeah,
was just like, man, I love that. This is a great character.
I liked how majority of the season he was just like thinking he's gonna die. Like he's like, if I do this, I'm gonna die. If I go help him, he's gonna die. I'm gonna die. It's like, and then he actually survives, and it's like somehow it's like always he's gonna die.
Yeah. No, great character, man. And I was even looking up the actors, like, what is this dude in? I want to see more of him. And when you look up a picture of this man, he does not like he obviously looks the same, but it's just like he doesn't have the samurai haircut, he doesn't
yeah.
have the beard. It's just a clean shaven, just Japanese dude. It's like, man, you do not look like Yamashika. But it is you. I could see it. It's crazy.
You know who
But
I
no,
looked up after watching the show?
who's that?
Mariko.
Oh yeah.
I looked
She's
her
done a
up.
lot too. Yeah.
She was in fucking Fast and Furious.
Yeah, she was.
I was like,
She was
the
in Fast
fuck?
and Furious. Of course she
I
was.
was like, she's also was in like 2 girl groups,
Mm.
like as a singer, as a lead
Oh, like
vocalist.
J-pop stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I like looked up her Wikipedia. I was like, that's crazy, bro. She was a singer too, and now she's like probably one of the best actresses right now because that
Oh yeah.
shit
Yeah.
was wild, yo. She was so good.
One
She
thing
really
that
was. I felt it
what-
when she died. I was like,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
run away from
man.
that door. I like
Yeah.
wanted to jump at the TV, like, take my hand.
this girl's just there with his hand up, Mariko.
Mariko-sama!
I'm right there with Angela, just like, help, help.
Oh man, one thing I want to touch on because we're talking about all the things we like. One thing that I did find annoying, and maybe I misunderstood early on, and I kind of just said, "Screw it, I'm going to run with it." They're speaking Japanese, makes perfect sense. Now, when he's speaking English to the people on his ship, that makes perfect sense. But when they got somebody to translate for him, they're like, "We need somebody who speaks Portuguese," and then he spoke English.
Yeah, so I think they didn't want to keep translating two different
Yes,
languages at the
and
same
I get
time,
it.
and I think that would have been confusing for everybody,
But one of
which
my
I
pet
have seen
peeves,
before.
yes, one of
Yeah.
my pet peeves has always been if they're going to speak that language, let them speak that language.
Yeah.
It's just like I've seen that a lot where it's like you watch somebody who's I've seen a lot with like Spanish, or it's just like, hey, here's a bunch of it's a movie, it's an American movie made in English, but you have the Spanish characters who are quote unquote speaking Spanish to each other, but they're actually speaking English just with Spanish accents to one another. And my mind's always just like, just speak Spanish. It's so much simpler, and it's taking me out of the movie. Just speak your natural language. And granted, their natural language in this is English, but it's supposed to be Portuguese.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? There should be a word of English in this whole fucking show. Maybe at the beginning when he's talking to the guy in the boat.
I agree and disagree
Yeah.
because I think they know the audience is gonna be like, I don't think I can watch Japanese and Portuguese show with no English and just subtitles. Like they had to also make it for the American audience.
I get it, and that's the
Yeah.
problem. That's the problem. The American audience.
Yes, at the same time, that's a lot of fucking subtitles, bro. Like I come from
That's
anime and it's okay, but
I have no problem with
I'm
subtitles.
fucking retarded. Like I'm dyslexic. I'm Alzheimer's.
Well,
Like
they have the dub version for you.
I didn't even know that. I mean, I still wouldn't have watched it, but I didn't even know they had like a dubbed version.
I put it on for like 30 seconds and it was just not the same. I was like, no,
Like you don't know how
no.
hard it is for me to keep watching One Piece in English dub, so Nadia can watch it. Like it's very difficult for me. You know,
I taught myself because it used to be the same for me, but then I thought back. I was just like, what language did I watch Dragon Ball Z in originally? And I just keep thinking back to that. I was like, I can do this. I can do this.
See, but the thing is like I never knew Dragon Ball Z when I watched it first had a Japanese version. I didn't
See,
I didn't know. I thought it was huh?
I knew. I didn't know I didn't know how to access it because internet.
No, I
wasn't
didn't even know
Okay.
until like maybe like Dragon Ball, like the Android saga and stuff like that when it started coming on TV, and like I found out about like anime and like Japanese and subtitles, but
No, that's
and then when I went and watched it in subtitles, I was like, why does Goku sound like his balls are in a vice grip? And I'm like, I
it's an
don't
old
think I
woman.
can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this.
But yeah, that's the thing. Where it's just like I used to be one of those people who's like, oh, you gotta watch sub. Then I was like, no, man, what the fuck, man, fuck that. Watch what you want to watch.
True.
Watch how you want to watch
yes,
it.
watch what you want to watch. But I only watched Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and every other anime that I've watched since in Japanese. So it's like I know what their voices sound like, and it's just super weird to me to hear them in English.
See, I trained myself to the point where my mind is so screwed up, I could watch shows in both. So I'll just decide, what do I feel like doing today? Do I want to do sub or dub? I watch the same show and just change it up. I just finished Solo Leveling, and that's literally I did half in Japanese, half in English. Just kept on going back and forth. And things in Korean. I should have watched it in Korean.
Is it just me, or is this like a thing that only I do? But like, I'll put subtitles on even in like English shows.
No,
I started doing that a couple years ago. I do it too.
It's a must for my wife. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't
even if
bother
it's
me
in English. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. It's just more clarification because I guess I don't hear words right or something.
No, and that's the thing.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say with me when I started doing it when I was in Jersey, because it's like I would work overnights And then it's like I don't want to bother my family with my loud TV because if on my days off because I want to. So it's like I want to know what's going on. Screw it, let me just put on subtitles, and I
Yeah.
can put the volume really low. It's like I could kind of make out what they're saying by hearing it, but I can, like you said, Disco, clarify it by putting on subtitles.
Exactly,
So
because
it's
not every
yeah,
show has like great sound.
mhm.
Sometimes like things are like a little muffled and you're like what they say and like you
Yeah.
rewind and it's just like it's all right, just
You
put
just
on the
get more out
subtitle.
of it.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah. But yeah, that's great that you finished Solo Leveling. I loved it. It was fantastic.
yeah.
If you are into like not just isekai, but like if you're into like the video game like genre, I just watched Shangri-La Frontier,
Mhm.
and it's similar to season 1 of Rising of the Shield Hero, but better.
I fell off on season 2, just like you said
Oh,
with
it was
that.
so bad. I just I could
I
not
just
get
couldn't.
into like
Yeah,
it was like
yeah,
it got so boring. But this one stays true to season 1 of Rising of the Shield Hero, but does it better.
okay.
And
Text that to me when you get the chance.
yeah,
Yeah, put it in the
I
group chat.
thought it was gonna be like a
I'm gonna look it up.
stupid like isekai with just like a bunch of girls and like a
Yeah,
harem and
which is
but
so
so
weird.
far it hasn't been their characters like female characters come in and out of it.
Yeah,
He like but it's mostly about the main character with like the bird helmet
yeah,
and it's just like it's about him about leveling up. He's like a true gamer
yeah,
trying to so and then like the world of Shangri-La it's like thought out very well. It's very nice and you discover things about it that are happening
yeah.
in the background
One
from the
one thing
developers. But
one
yeah,
thing I want to say, we're gonna get back to Shogun because I
yeah,
know us. We're gonna get off
I
topic,
know.
but one thing I want to mention, you guys, I talk to you guys so often. I can't help but watch or do or experience things, and you guys just automatically come to my mind. Which is like I'm watching Solo Leveling, and as I'm watching it on the last episode, at one point he's saying something along the lines of it's just like, oh, so if I work with the group, I guess I'm not going to be solo leveling anymore. And in my
Hmm.
head, I'm like, oh no, Eslam, because I specifically remember you saying, and this is why I hate my memory sometimes
Yeah.
because I remember the most unnecessary things. I remember Eslam, you specifically saying, I hope that he doesn't get a bunch of girls like they do in Shield Hero or something like that because the title is called Solo Leveling, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be by himself. Literally, he said that, and that just triggered in my mind. I was like, oh no, Eslam, no. I don't know if he's going to continue solo leveling.
I think he will. Like
Yeah, no, I do
with the
too.
way, yeah,
But
the way
but
it
the moment
ended,
he
I
said that, I was like, why am I thinking of this? Why am I
yeah.
thinking of Eslam when I'm watching?
um but yeah, so Shangri-La Frontier, go check it out. Solo Leveling was also amazing. Go check it
Yeah.
out.
I like how you
Um
sent it right now in the chat, so you don't
Yes,
forget.
I,
That's
I
good
saw the
stuff
oh
phone.
right
I was
there.
like,
dude, I would
whatever.
have forgotten as soon as I turned it off. I would have been like,
You did the same thing for me with I think it might have been Rise of the Shield Hero. I was like,
uh,
hey, when you get a chance, text me, and you did it like in that moment. I was like,
because
appreciate
if
it.
I don't, I know I'm gonna forget.
Oh,
I just
100%.
it's just
Same here.
that's just how my brain operates. Like I
Yeah,
was literally at work today, and like the girl that works with me was talking to me today,
yeah.
and she was
And then
like,
you were on the podcast.
she was like, she started talking to me. She was like, "You remember?" I was like, I don't. I didn't even let her finish. I was like, I don't. Like we've talked about this before. Like I
Yeah,
got Alzheimer's. Like she starts cracking up, and then yeah. But I make sure everybody knows that I'm a little slow, so and
yeah.
my brain just doesn't work anymore like it used to. Dan, just a quick question. Remember back in the day, like way back in the day, like end of high school, beginning of like college, like there was like a short couple of years, like few years, where I did have a good memory. Like I feel like there was a time where I was like like I was on point.
I don't remember that actually.
Fuck. Okay, I guess I'm making it up. Never mind.
He wants
I
to
I thought
love
there
remember.
was.
that.
Bro. I
I
thought
love
there was.
that you're trying to remember if you ever had a good memory.
I thought I did, bro. I thought I did because for some reason I remember all our like car rides when we were used to talk, and there was I would just
I mean, you would
start.
remember certain things here and there. Like if I say Gordon, what am I talking about?
Yeah, that Gordon and Gordon building. Yeah,
Yeah,
that shit was
exactly.
hilarious, bro.
Exactly. So I'm saying you remember you do have a bad memory, but you remember certain things. Like
Yeah, the
me,
stupid shit. Yeah.
why do you remember Gordon? You don't need it?
Because it, you know why I remember? Because I think it was just like we laughed so much at that at the
Yeah.
time that it's
Yeah.
just become like a
Yeah.
core memory. Like I just
Yeah.
like I remember Samuel. No, it's not Samuel. James
Damn,
Earl
he already
Jones.
be fucked up. I remember it immediately fucks up. James Earl
James
Jones'
Earl
little brother.
Jones. Yeah, older
Oh, big
brother.
brother. No, big brother named James Earl Jones' brother. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He's the
Yeah.
big brother.
So disco. These things happen when disco. I mean, when that's not when I would hang out. They make no sense. The Gordon thing is we came back from the comic book shop or
Yeah,
eating Thai food. Either way, they're both in
yeah,
the same direction.
yeah,
And we're coming back, and he says something. He looks up, and there was a sign that says Gordon and Gordon. It's Gordon and Gordon. But because of
yeah.
the way Esop's mind thinks, he's like, "What the fuck's a Gordon? It sounds like some kind of alien." And I just look at him, I was like, "Gordon, like Commissioner Gordon?" And then he just starts dying. And then James
He
Earl
made it
Jones'
sound
little
like an
brother.
alien or something.
He really do.
Gordon.
What the fuck's a
What
Gordon?
fucking-
I'm
was it Power
dyslexic,
Rangers?
bro. That's how my
Zordon?
brain read it. Like Gordon. Like I was just like,
And
I don't know.
James Earl Jones' brother. I don't know how we did it, but mind you, we're sitting at a buffet that we are going to for the first time. Just me and him doing our 3-plate rule, acting like morons. People, I'm sure, are looking at us at this point. And I don't know how James Earl Jones came up, and we started talking about how he had an older brother who was named James James Earl Jones' older brother, and he had to stick with that name until James Earl Jones was born. So they're like, "Who's James Earl Jones?" If you're his older brother. And it makes no sense. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard, but we thought it was so funny. And we had a
Bro.
lot of like baked beans that day that tasted great.
Yeah, those baked beans were good. Oh man, like we were literally keeled over in our booth, dying
Yeah.
laughing.
Man.
Like I don't know why, but it happened. Oh
His
fuck,
birth was a prophecy for the
yo,
great James Earl Jones.
We
yeah.
might have said those fucking words.
All right,
You
yeah. So
guys, you guys ready to
Toranaga,
close up Shogun?
yeah. So Toranaga was
Yeah,
a
Toranaga.
badass. Toranaga was a badass. Um, one other thing. So the way the show ended, uh, his conversation with was it
Yabashige.
Yabashiro
Yabashige.
Yabushige was his conversation with Yabushige. Yabushige made it sound like he seek, even though he kept saying he doesn't want to be shogun and he doesn't, and he just wants peace and he will protect the heir. Whatever the fuck his name is, because I
Yabashige.
can, yeah, he made it seem like, oh, you have a secret heart and you're just like the rest of us and you truly do want to be shogun. Do you guys think that, or do you think he actually?
100%.
Yeah.
Yabashige is correct.
Okay.
Toranaga. Now, I agree. Toranaga wants there to be peace.
Yeah.
And the best way for there to be peace is if he
It's for
becomes
him.
Shogun. So
Okay.
it's like, even if you look at it at the end where it's just like he's just saying, like, listen, I'm gonna die for my last dying wish, let me do it. And he responds with one of the most badass things, like, why should I tell them that in the future?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's just like when he, Yabashika, stabs himself, he does the seppuku, and then he looks over and Toranaga, right before he does it, gives the slightest hint of a smile and
Yeah.
then cuts his head off. I was like, yo, Yabashika was like, yo, you're right. And
Yeah.
Toranaga's like, you got me. Let me chop your head off.
Good thing he's about to die.
Yeah. I also like that when he was talking about like how the battle's gonna go down, they showed you almost like a dream sequence of like
Yeah.
the armies meeting and him and Ishido meeting and Ishido getting that letter from Lady Uchiba and she's like, yeah, you're not getting the heir's army. Goodbye. So I thought that was really funny, but
One thing I wanted to ask you guys about that. Let's say the show kept going and we did get up to that point. How would you guys think you would have felt watching that? You're preparing for this big battle. Episode comes, we're about to get the fight, and then he gets that letter and there's no battle and they lost. How would you feel about that?
I would have felt about it the same way I felt about the ending of the show, not giving us the battle.
Okay.
Because the show to me was never about the
You needed
battle.
it. You didn't need it. Yeah.
Yeah, the show to me wasn't an action show. It wasn't about battles. It wasn't about armies. It wasn't about.
Mhm.
It was about the politics and the maneuvering and the chess game of samurai lords and shoguns and their internal system of how things work, like sending your son as a hostage to another lord, or inviting these people into the to Osaka Castle, and then you know politely saying they can't really leave, and they obey because they're hostages, but nobody wants to say they're hostages, but
Mhm,
everybody knows they're hostages. That
mhm.
kind of game. That's what the whole show is about. And it's done very well. It was very well written, and I didn't expect a huge battle.
Yeah,
Um, so even if the show continued and we get to that, and that's how it ended, it's just that's how it was supposed to end. Like I
I
don't
gotcha.
expect like bloodshed and war, and
Makes
like
sense.
I just don't expect that on a large scale. So
You feel
yeah,
the same way, Disco?
To me, I actually kind of feel a little different. I feel like I thought there was going to be a battle because I felt like majority of the actions, a lot of the consequence would have been like, oh, well, that's an act of war. So I
Yeah.
felt like eventually one of the things Toranaga did or Ishido did or something would have like crossed that line. But they did, like Eslam said, it really became a lot about the politics. And then by episode 10, it was just so much maneuvering and and kind of low key manipulation. Toranaga and like Eslam said how like Mariko kind of showed that, oh, we are prisoners. Why can't I leave? And
yeah.
you know, it was all just so well. My cat's right here. She's kind of throwing
I
me
know,
off.
I love it. I love how you're sticking with it. The commitment is incredible. The cat's just going back and forth.
She's
If you
like,
guys are
love
listening to the
me.
audio version, watch the video, please. This is priceless.
Okay,
But no,
Robo.
I
Namu
get
Keeper.
I get what you
Uh-oh.
guys are talking about. My thing is because I've heard so many comparisons to Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones was known for the same thing with politics, but they were also known for their
Yeah.
violence and brutality and battles. So that's what I was thinking. It's like if that's something because I'm sure I didn't talk to my dad about it. I'm sure if I do talk about the finale, he might say something along the lines of like, yeah, but I want to see them fight. Like I can picture him saying that. But I'm right there with you. You guys know me. You take away action from everything. I love. Just give me a Tarantino movie where it's just two people sitting at a table talking, and I'm gonna think it's the greatest thing ever
Yeah,
because he writes dialogue so well. So it's like
he
if
really
it's
does.
written well enough,
Hmm.
I'm fine. This is one of those shows where it's like you can take away every single action sequence and still write a good enough story. I'm down
And there
for it.
wasn't many. Like there was very few action sequences.
When there was action though, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
Marco exploded. There was people that were just taken apart by cannons. You know,
yeah,
earthquakes like swallow people whole. Like
yeah,
the
You
action
know,
stuff was intense, but it was
yeah.
just
you know, one
every
thing
once
that
in a
got
while.
me going, my jollies going, was when they would cut people's heads off, which was
Oh yeah,
surprisingly
that
kind of
too.
often. I really liked how, like, you know, it's not super aggressive or actiony, but just I really like how they actually showed it, like the swipe, the clean swipe, the technique, the form, and then you just
Mhm.
see the head fall. It always gets me every time. Like, what
Yeah.
the? I don't know. It's just kind of surreal seeing that happen, and that was getting me going. Like, oh shoot, that, like, especially in the beginning. I think it was like the first episode. This guy was praying for like a prisoner or something, and then
Mhm.
I think the other guy said no talking, and then instantly just swiped his
Yeah.
head, and I was like, oh, whoa, this is
Yeah.
one of those types of shows. Like it kind of set the bar for me.
One thing I just remember
Happy birthday,
because
Henry.
I was gonna say also with the all the suicides, the seppuku that was happening. Um, just thought of
Technically not suicides,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
because
I know
they do
exactly where
have
you're coming from.
seconds, right? Which was
Yeah.
very interesting because I always thought seppuku was also suicide, but they cleared it up for you in the show here.
Yeah.
It's like you initiate the killing yourself, but
Mhm.
the killing blow is actually done by someone else to end your suffering, because like you're
Yeah.
literally cutting your belly open.
Yeah.
I think Harry Carey is the suicide one where you're
Okay.
just by yourself.
Okay. Makes sense. But one I wanted to talk about in particular was Sujiyama Josui. Josie, the older dude who was Toranaga's like right hand man.
Yes, yeah. Oh
When he was doing
man.
it, man, that was a heartbreaker.
Oh my
I loved
Uh
god.
him, bro. I loved
yeah, that's
him
one thing I wanted to make sure we
and
touch on because
Toranaga's
he
like
was just like,
wife, like the older
oh
lady, because they talk
yeah,
shit to him, and that shit was always funny.
yeah,
I
yeah,
loved it. Yeah, because
yeah,
it's like he's like these people
yeah,
have been
and he's just gonna
loyal
take
and
it.
with me the whole time. Like they're
Yeah,
allowed to like give me shit every once in a while.
yeah,
Be-
yeah. But when he did it himself, man, he's looking at Toranaga in the eyes, and Toranaga's just looking right back at him. Just knowing, just like Toranaga in his mind, especially, is just
I think he knew
I have a
though.
plan. You guys have to trust me on this. And he's just out there. He knew it too, but he's just like, hey, I know that you have a plan, but these people are about to abandon you. They're disloyal to you already. This, that, the other. I'm gonna do this unless you do something.
I think there was an understanding between them that he needed to do that to regain the others' like loyalty. And it's like, and it's the same reason why he sent Mariko in too. Like, who he told her, like, he did his job, now I need you to do yours. And she understood going in that she was going to die. Like, so yeah, they both did that knowing they were gonna die to help him further his plans. But yes, it was, oh my god, Nadia and I were very sad when it happened, because you could also, like, Toranaga was trying so hard not to cry too, which
it was like, rough. I was watching.
It was so good.
So good.
Dude, the acting, bro. The acting in the show. And like talking about Blackthorne, the growth. I mean, we already touched on it, but it's just like from the first episode, you guys talked about it. He's, these people are savages. Why are you just running around killing yourselves? So when you get to the end where Mariko is just like, hey, I'm gonna kill myself, and she has nobody to be her second, and he walks up, it's like, oh, he's about to stop her. He's like, no, I'll be your second. It's like, damn. And then later on, when at the very end, where he's like, I got nothing left to live. Marco's dead. My boat's gone. And he's going to Toranaga. He's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna do seppuku. And they're like, bro, you don't even know what it is. You don't even know what that is. Calm down. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm your enemy. I was like, the where he just went all the way to the other side. It's just like he just gets that now. It's like he understands the culture. Obviously, he still has his own culture there, but he's grown so much as a character to understand what is coming. He even says, he was like, hey, the war that I have going on with the Christians, that's just that means nothing to me now. And at the beginning, it was just like that was the only thing he cared about. It's like so much has happened. It's like, no, that doesn't mean shit to me anymore.
Such great.
Yeah, one random scene that just popped up into my head was when Fuji gifted Anjin the swords. Yeah. And then, but like further on, I don't know if it's the next episode or whatever, where like the landslide happened and then Toranaga didn't have swords, so he gives him like the cheap swords, and it's kind of like I was laughing in my head because it's like you need the swords for the honor, but also it's like everybody knows that they're like cheap swords, so it was like I don't know why that scene popped in my head, but it's just the culture thing, like I guess it's just fascinating. But kind of like the full circle of how it's like everybody gave it to him kind of like a joke, and now it's like he saved Toranaga and then it gave him those stuff.
And then I mean at that point now they're held by Toranaga. They mean something, so it's like they hit that established level.
It's so much fun talking about all this, but let's end this bad boy. Let's do some final thoughts. I guess I'll start us off. My final thoughts. I don't know what to watch now. You know what I mean? There's always that slump after like a phenomenal show, and the crazy thing is we had a couple of phenomenal shows back to back. Nadia and I with Three Body Problem, and like we watched another show or something on with Tokyo Vice season 2 before that. So we had like 3 fantastic, like well-written shows back to back. And now it's just like, oof, it's either wait till June or, try to find something else. So if you guys got any recommendations, throw them in the comments. Let me know.
There's also like Invincible and a new Fallout.
I gotta catch up
show
on Invincible.
Came out.
Yeah, I gotta catch up on that.
Yeah, Invincible I did finish.
Oh yeah, actually I've been kind of letting it
if you haven't known
bank up so I can binge a little.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the hell out of that.
I've done the nostalgia shows before,
like, man,
and they've sucked. I got you.
I know.
Say no more. Say no more.
Eslam. I'm gonna say one more thing.
My favorite character. Say no more. It's done. It's done.
Bro.
It's done.
Magneto. Right like now. That's all I'm saying. Oh man, but no, definitely watch that. Anybody who's
I
not
know,
watching
I know
episode
they did
97, get on
my
that. It's what,
girl
half-hour an episode, not even?
Rogue
Knock
dirty,
that out.
but it's all good, bro. Yeah, they
They
made her.
changed. They shrunk her booty.
They did
Yeah.
rope?
No, it's
It
a
was it
meme
was
thing.
fatter back in the
I didn't
day.
notice. No.
It was like a meme thing.
That thing was luscious and just bodacious and all in the intro. Like,
Really? Me neither until I saw the memes.
I legit never noticed. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
When we were
Oh,
children,
man.
you see
we were
a
children. We
full-grown
wouldn't have
woman
known.
sprawled with all these hip action and a booty. It's crazy what you don't notice when you're kids.
All right, Disco, what's your
Yeah.
final thoughts?
Final thoughts,
Oh,
man.
man.
This was probably one of the best shows I've seen in a while, and it really caught me by surprise. I didn't see the direction of where it was going the whole time, and I love that because usually I could kind of tell or like
Yeah.
guess. I kind of like guessing, but this one just had me every step of the way. I did not see Mariko dying. I thought she was going to be like a long lasting character because I guess that's what makes it such good writing because I got attached to her and I was like, no, she's going to be here for a while with Anjin translator, and then boom, anybody can get it. But I really love the whole show, and even though there never really was that climax in the battle that I thought was going to come, it was just so fulfilling as a show in general with all the politics and the ins and out of the cultures and the various cultures. And I want more, but at the same time, it's just like that. It was just so perfect in itself.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I want a second season. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
always rumors
It's
when
a
things do
miniseries.
well
Yeah.
like this, money grab. But
Yeah, it's yeah.
I wouldn't want a second season.
Yeah,
I think this is
that is true.
good as a standalone. But
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, with this show, and it's funny
Yeah.
because like there's so many things we didn't even talk about, and we talked about this for a minute.
It's
and,
10 hours of
That's why
content.
you guys,
There's
if
no
you
way
haven't
to,
seen the show,
to cover
please do
everything
yourself
in,
justice and
in
watch
an
it.
hour.
There's not one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you guys gotta, even though we talked about this, like, even if you did stick around for the spoilers when
Yeah.
you shouldn't have, but you did anyway, still go back and watch it because there's still so much that we haven't touched on at all. We barely talked about any of
The
the
Portuguese.
Christians at all or what they're trying to do. Like we didn't even talk about that. Like there's so much. Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much there.
Yeah.
The Portuguese dude who I thought was gonna be a major character. that
One
was
of
in
my
2
favorite
episodes,
things
like,
Toranaga did
like,
was
there's
when
so
he gave
much.
the Catholics the church, he put it right next to the whorehouse. I was like,
Bravo.
that's fucking hilarious. Okay, but I'm sorry. All right, Dan, your final thoughts.
Yeah. So all right. Final thoughts. I'm gonna do my best to do this without breaking down here. So what's it called? Recently, an uncle of mine passed away, and I've actually talked about it a few times on the podcast.
You know,
like I
we're
said,
not gonna remember.
I was about to say with your guys' memories, there's no way you know what I'm talking about. But
I was gonna
basically,
say.
yeah. Anytime we've talked about video games and we've talked about accessibility in video games,
Oh yes.
I would bring up my uncle.
Hmm.
So that's my uncle Tito. So I'm actually going to be going to Puerto Rico within the next day or two, a couple days. Go attend the funeral. Now, basically, final thoughts going to be a shout out to him. So just quick story. My uncle Tito, he's been disabled. Was disabled his whole life. From a young age, my mom actually told me he wasn't supposed to make it past the age of 22. He passed away at the age of 64.
God bless.
Yeah. So he
Man.
stuck around for a while.
God's
and
work.
yeah. And I have a bunch of funny like stories and stuff that I've heard about Tito growing up, or some stuff I experienced with Tito. But one thing I want to break down is just me, who I am. Anybody who's had a conversation with me knows how much I love video games, knows how much I love pro wrestling. And even though I'm not the most tech savvy, I appreciate technology to more than the average person, I'd say. All these things came from my Uncle Tito. I grew up playing Nintendo, went to Puerto Rico. He taught me about Sega. And I didn't know what Sega was. I didn't know what that meant. And he introduced me to Crazy Taxi, NBA Jam, Streets of Rage, and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Things that I love. You guys know how much I love Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
My Uncle Tito's introduced me to that game. Also, wrestling. I knew when I was a little kid, my first memory is Hulk Hogan running into a ring. I didn't know much else about wrestling. Went to Puerto Rico. Oh, there's wrestling outside of WWF. What is this about? I learned about wrestling that involved my culture, Puerto Rico, and I was like, oh my God, there's Puerto Rican wrestling. And I got to go in the ring and all stuff. He taught me so much about that. And it's a great thing. The first time I saw anybody put together or take apart a computer was him. Mind you, he didn't have use of his hands.
Yeah.
And I saw this man do that. So, I just have a lot of respect for my Uncle Tito. It's sad to see him go, but, it's an honor to have known him for as long as I did. And it's funny because you guys know I'm not the best at speaking Spanish. He wasn't the best at speaking English, and we still communicated.
Yeah.
We could still have a conversation. I spoke enough Spanish, he spoke enough English where we could talk about whatever. And it was great. I learned a lot from him. So it's really, really sad to see him go. But yeah, man, just shout out to him.
Shout out to Uncle Tito, man. Sorry you had to lose such an awesome person.
Yeah.
It's always tough, especially when people that have like a huge effect on your life and almost like your personality, because a lot of the things we like are part of our personality. So yeah, man, I'm really sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that he didn't let his disability hold him back, and that he can impact you and I'm sure many others in such a powerful way. And I'm sure he's just in a better life right now, doing his thing. I don't know if he was Catholic with God or whatever, but I'm sure he's doing good over there wherever he is. And
absolutely,
shout out to Uncle Tito. We dedicate this episode to you.
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening to Los Wise Guys podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to follow us on social media, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Go check out our website. Let's all give our prayers to Uncle Tito. Thank you for listening, and have a great week.